everybody. Oh, the kitty cat, the special cute kitty cat. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this wonderful Wednesday evening for another chaotic game in Ysterra. Welcome to Wanderer's Haven, the channel where Jeremy has either lost his mind or has gone blind and is still allowing me to put on these shows. I'm sure one day he will, figure out his mistake. But until then, I'm going to relish in getting to play with all of these lovely and amazing people that I have here at my table with me. Say hi, lovely and amazing people.
Hi, lovely.
Hi, lovely and
amazing people.
We'll work on that. Yes. Welcome, everyone. This is part 3 of the Chaos Hungers arc. Was supposed to be a total of 6, but unfortunately, when my lungs decided that they didn't want to function appropriately anymore, we ended up cutting out a couple of episodes. My sincerest of apologies. Next week will be the finale of this series, assuming that everyone survives tonight. And if they don't, well, tonight's the finale. We'll figure all of that out if it happens, though. In the meantime, before we can figure all of that out, I should give all of these lovely people an opportunity to go around and introduce themselves and mention a little bit about the character that they're playing tonight. And just to mix things up, just so I can throw all of you guys for a loop, I'm going to start with Deb.
Great. Hi, I'm Deb. So good to be here. I'm playing Maeve tonight, our resident plant witch, and she's home now, so that's exciting. I can't wait to explore the Bone Orchard tonight and see what shenanigans we get into.
Indeed. And speaking of the Bone Orchard, if anybody has not tuned in to last week's episode, you should go and check that out on our YouTube page, because Deb knocked it out of the park with a description of this lovely place that she calls home. But we will get to more about that stuff in a little bit. Let's keep things rolling right along. And Aaron, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your lovely character, Karnak?
Hi everyone, my name's Aaron. Tonight I'll be playing the character Karnak. He is a multi-class rogue monk orc, and he hasn't gotten on everyone's nerves just yet, so we'll see how long it takes until he manages to accomplish that. But other than that, I'm excited, and I hope you all are excited too.
I don't think he's gotten on anybody's nerves, and if he has, it's probably Ian, but Ian forgives you because of that awesome voice filter that you use. So, moving things right along. Speaking of Ian, we're not going to have you go next. It's Beth's turn.
Hey, it's me. I'm Ian. And no, I'm Beth. We know this. I'm playing Sai, who is a Night Warden, Twilight Cleric of the Ascendant Nocturnus. And I think Sai is pretty stoked that Maeve finally got to go back to the orchard. So we'll see how things go.
We'll see if her PTSD kicks in anytime soon. Ian, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Hey, everybody. I'm Ian. No, the OK's GM now. Hey, I'm Ian, and I play Kettle Portsmouth, the dwarf wizard that was just rescued from not being kidnapped on a solo mission. So.
Yeah, no problems whatsoever from last week. Everything turned out
Everything's
100% fine. No issues at all. It was great. And I am Miko, your humble host and game master for this evening, and I will be playing everyone that these lovely people aren't. And so I think that we should just dive right into all of that. What do you guys think? Should we just dive in? All right. Let us... I gotta click over here first. Yep, there we go. Let us do this. Welcome, everyone, to the magical world of Ysterra, a world on the cusp of an industrial magical revolution that portends to changing society all across the world. Our lovely adventure that we are joining everyone in tonight is one perhaps a little bit darker than the rest of the world, taking place in an area filled not only with history unknown to much of the rest of Ysterra, but unknown to much of those among us now traveling into it. In an effort to seek out the illustrious mask bearers, a trio of individuals that has been consumed in a way by fiendish masks of ancient origin that have sought to destroy or alter or sow chaos through the rest of the world. Our illustrious companions have already quelled the efforts of two of them, brought them low, and ensured that Ysterra has been safe from their machinations. But now the third seems to be doing something of ill intent. Some luck, perhaps, some knowledge of the world, and some unknown coincidence has led them to believe that there is a portent, a future, a vision from the past that has told them the threat lies within the Black Timber Woodland, a cursed forest of immense proportion on the face of Ysterra that few dare to enter, and even fewer ever return from. This place of eternal dark within the bowed canopies that sheds and prevents all light from entering is where our companions must travel. But before they reach that place, they must stop in the Bone Orchard, the home of one of their number, the wizened druid Maeve. As we come back to our companions, having just used their spells of transportation, walking upon the wind at great pace to ensure as expedient an arrival as they can, Maeve has brought everyone down to the edges of this lovely and illustrious forest adjacent to the dark place known as the Black Timber Woodland. Here in the Bone Orchard, a group of druids that tend to this place use it as an eternal rest, offering respite to the souls of the fallen that deserve from their many years of service in keeping the threats of the woodland at bay. Here's where Maeve had spent the majority of her life before becoming embroiled with situations in the rest of the world that drew her away from this place. Deb, would you remind us, please, how long has it been since Maeve stepped foot in the Bone Orchard?
It's been a good, better part of a decade. She first joined the initiative 8 years ago, and she's only been back once or twice, and that was early on in her time with the initiative. So she has not been here in quite a long time.
And at this moment, as all of you have shed the magic that turned you into the very wind itself, and are stepping foot into the very edges of this place, what is it that you're feeling right now? What is it that Maeve is feeling in this moment?
Maeve is feeling a really intense rush of homesickness, recognizing that it's been so long since she's been here. All of the feelings of missing this place that she pushed down over the years are rushing to the front, and so she's filled with a lot of complicated emotion about being so overwhelmed and overjoyed at being here, and just missing this place so much.
And what about the rest of you? As you enter the edges of this space, you can feel the weighty presence of it. Even looking at it from afar when you were traveling close, traveling up to it, you could tell the awe, and you could feel the presence of it that likely keeps so many people away for fear of the unknown, or shaking of their emotions, or just a lack of control on most people's part that don't want to come this close to the Black Timber Woodland, using that as an excuse for the awe-inducing nature of the Bone Orchard. What is it that the rest of you are feeling as you step foot in this sanctified realm?
Sai definitely feels a wave of comfort, both in the way that this space feels. I think that given Sai's background and, sort of existing on this like cusp of life and death and all of that, I think this is a place that holds extra special good vibes. And then on top of that, seeing Maeve get to come back home is just very delightful for Sai. So I think they're feeling pretty just happy, I guess, about being able to be here finally.
What about Karnak?
I think Karnak would be feeling a little bit more comfortable, and by that regards, during his time as a scout or a skirmisher, to sort of speak, he's always found that the wooded areas are a place that he feels more comfort in, because even during the daytime there can be areas of darkness, and he seems to get this unusual sense of safety while in the darkness. So being in a heavily wooded area has always made him feel a little bit more at peace. Even though he was in the city, and there are areas in the city that he can find similar areas of darkness in, he almost guarantees that there's always darkness in the forest if he looks.
And Kettle?
I think Kettle's in like a state of like awe, kind of like seeing the Bone Orchard in its entirety and only just hearing stories about it. He's definitely trying to restrain the level of excitement, knowing that this place holds a level of respect that should be provided, but he's definitely wanting to like look closer to things and just kind of take it all in.
Okay. You don't take more than a dozen steps. There's a bit of pause to your walking into the place. Maeve in particular is kind of lingering a little bit, just kind of perhaps coming to terms with being a little overwhelmed by being home, as it were. But you're there for perhaps only a minute or so before you hear a voice chime from seemingly nowhere in the vicinity of some trees nearby. A soft voice, but one that is still commanding, as you hear cry out from the trees nearby, guarded a little bit by the brush, not able to really see the source of the voice just yet. You hear a, "Halt! You don't need to go anywhere. Stay put. Speak your business."
You know me, I'm sure. These are my companions.
You turn towards the direction of the voice and you hear it. Maeve! Maeve, is that you? And emerging from the bushes is a short woman, stout, wearing green and brown clothes designed for easy movement within a place such as this, and that can shield and cloak her movements well. For the rest of you, she looks young, but those of you that have any insight into halflings and the way that they age, you would know that she's probably older than she looks, and she certainly bears a strong countenance about her as she emerges from the trees. And she's unknocking the arrow that she had drawn, and with a swift and fluid motion, it goes back into the quiver upon her back with a practiced ease. And you can see that while her expression is relatively stern, there is a bit of a smile upon her face, and Maeve would certainly recognize Yara and be able to ascertain fairly clearly, because Yara doesn't do well at hiding her emotions, especially from someone such as Maeve, something is troubling her. And even though she is very obviously happy to see Maeve, there's an undercurrent there in just the way that she's carrying herself. It's rare that even Yara would command people to halt from just a few steps into the woodland in such a way. The grove is a welcoming place for all that wish to come, and it's so rare that people do come. Very few are ever met with such hostility, as it were, that you all were met with. But she approaches all of you nonetheless, getting, within 10 or so feet pretty quickly, as she just holds her bow at her shoulder and kind of leans on it a little bit as the end of it touches into the ground. And she stares at Maeve for several moments, where she says, "What brought you?"
Several things. It has been a long time, and this is a visit overdue. But I have business here in the orchard and also in the woodland beyond.
Thank you, Raiders, by the way. Welcome in. We're just getting started. Stay tuned. She has still much of that serious countenance upon her face, and there's a moment of concern as she's looking at the rest of your companions, and she kind of sighs and says, "Phalora is not going to be pleased to see you. Just warning you."
I appreciate the warning. This is not exactly the welcome that I expected.
Yes, well, everything is unexpected lately. Anyway, to the rest of you, hello. I am Yara, protector of the grove, so they say. This will be demands that I say that. Anyway, welcome. If you're friends of Maeve, you are, of course, welcome amongst us here in these trees. Would you like me to escort you in, Maeve, or do you have other plans?
If you feel that it would help soften my appearance.
I don't know anymore. Maybe you should find Thistlebeard first. I think I saw him off to gather up some of the... We have a ceremony taking place shortly from now, and Thistlebeard went off to collect some flowers for it. I think he's off on the eastern side.
That is a wise suggestion. We will seek him out.
All right. I'll let you to it. Be careful. And she just kind of nods to the rest of you, and with speed and alacrity that probably Karnak is the only one to recognize the skill of, she practically vanishes. She gets 15, 20 feet away from you, and all of you basically lose sight of her.
Real sneaky like.
She
Maeve,
was nice.
what the hell was that?
It seems there is a different sort of greeting here than I expected. Yara is
I'll
the
say.
protector of the grove, and she is more cautious than I have ever seen her. Something is wrong, perhaps? Perhaps we will get more out of Thistlebeard.
Yeah. All right.
Now, Kettle, this might be a perfect opportunity for your first mission to rescue your damsel in distress, right? She's about your size, so I figure it'd work out.
No, I thought about it. No. She's probably like, she's way older than I am, which is not a problem. It's just, no. You think?
What's that thing that Umi say? The older the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Yep, that's what they say. Oh. Good night, everybody.
Oh,
Couple of chuckleheads. Anyway, what would you like to do now?
Head to the east. Find
All right.
Thistlebeard.
Hey, wait. We're going to this party, right?
Ceremony, not party per se.
I think we should probably figure out why the greeting was a bit cold before we just, barge in on sacred things.
What? I thought that's what Yara said. Like, that's where we need to go to figure that out. It's ceremony. What happens at the ceremony?
Right. Find old Bristlebeard.
Is Maeve going to correct him?
No.
Okay.
Assuming that it is just an ordinary ceremony, the druids will lay someone to rest. Someone who has perished in the Black Timber Woodland. I do wonder if our objective in being here is the same thing that troubles the Bone Orchard. But that is just speculation at this point.
So it's
Perhaps-
not a party.
Perhaps Thistlebeard will be more forthcoming.
Are they going to
Um,
give their bones to the family?
Is there a party after?
The burial customs are different depending on the beliefs of the deceased, and so they vary from person to person. We will learn more if we find out who the person was and what the ceremony will be.
Sai has to push back an excited feeling at seeing what these burial customs are like, depending on the deceased and all of that, and realizes that that's an inappropriate feeling to be having, and so just gotta tamp that down a bit.
Oh, that Oh wait. So looking over at Sai, you could probably help though.
I mean, technically
It's like
yes, but
technically is the best way. You could help. That could be your thing, right? Oh,
No, this
Thistlebeard,
is-
we brought a night warden. We're trying to help. We have questions.
I mean, listen, if it puts us in their good graces, then sure. But I think this is a place of tradition, and I want to remain a guest.
No, put yourself out there. Do something you're not supposed to.
We'll see. Yeah. And then Sai looks to Maeve.
Get all giddy for the dead.
I don't think you're supposed to be giddy for the day. Okay. Looking at Maeve. Follow your lead.
Yes.
I'm assuming that while you guys have been talking, Maeve has already been leading you eastward along the edges of the orchard. Maeve knows very clearly there is a large number of creeks and small waterbeds on the eastern side of the orchard where many different kinds of plants are cultivated by Thistlebeard or any of the other number of garden tenders, so to speak, because you all do your best to honor various rituals and things for quite a number of different people. So it's a scenario where you kind of go out of your way to make sure that that different plants might want, for different ceremonies and such. So as you're making your way through the orchard, you can, Maeve in particular, you can feel something different about the orchard. It's not the same as it was, and at first you kind of brush it off as feeling you just haven't been here in such a long time, and that of course it's going to change. Everything changes in some way, and it's just different for you because you haven't been here quite as long. But there is a dread that you can feel creeping in the back of your mind right now. The trees, whilst historically for you in particular have always been welcoming and filled with the sense of belonging at your presence, you're not getting that now. There is fear here. It's as if the natural world of this place fears something coming. And it doesn't take you very long, perhaps an hour or so, before you reach the area where you expect to find Thistlebeard. And as you start to look around, kind of wondering where the old man has gone off to, you start hearing a faint whistling sound. Something that Thistlebeard always seems to do. He always has this joviality about him, no matter what the circumstances might be, no matter how dire the task. He's always that upbeat, lively persona, particularly for Maeve, who knew him growing up, and he kind of filled that spot in her parenting, I guess, in a way, of the joy of what it was that took place here in the Bone Orchard. And as you are traveling just around the corner of a few trees, you see this very, very, very massive dwarven man. He stands only at around 4'10", 4'11", maybe, but he's almost 4 feet wide as well. Just this thick behemoth of a dwarf. Petal looks like a small child by comparison to Thistlebeard. And you can see kind of woven into his beard are a number of vines and green things. Hanging off of his side it's not like an herbalist's pouch. It is basically this giant like shelf hanging off of his hip that is just filled with all kinds of pouches and bottles and such. And you can see on his back is a very, very large rucksack-style backpack that is just brimming with different flowers and greenery. And he stands there just tending to a few different flowers in front of him, looking for the best ones to perhaps pluck, the ones that, you know, might need to be given a little bit more time and such, as he's, you know, carrying on his merry way, whistling as it were. He hasn't noticed any of you yet.
Maeve calls out, "You've picked the wrong one."
The whistling stops abruptly. He stands and turns and looks at the rest of you, and the rest of you kind of want to wilt with the glare that he gives. His demeanor is instantly that of an angry and upset dwarven man. And he stares at Maeve coldly. There's perhaps 20 feet distance between the two of you, and he slowly starts walking towards you. The rest of you can almost feel the ground thudding with each step that he takes. And he ignores, he hasn't looked away from Maeve after what she said. Gets within maybe a foot or so of her, and his demeanor changes rapidly, turning into a giant smile. He lets loose a belly-shaking laugh and reaches forward and just scoops Maeve up into the air, picking her up as if she weighed, like, as if she was made of paper, kind of, you know, swinging her around in the air for a minute, laughing, and then slowly bringing her back down and clinching her into a hug. "Oh, lassie, it's been so long since I've seen you. I'm so glad you're here." And he kind of steps back for a second and stares at you, and you can see there is an honest smile and mirth about his eyes. But for Maeve, you also notice that there seems to be kind of a tear forming at the edge of one of them.
So glad to be here. This is more the welcome that I was expecting. We met Yara at the boundary, and she told us to come find you before Phalora.
Right. Yes, well, your cuz is just having a difficult moment of things, and I don't know how she's going to respond seeing you. Your departure, while of course accepted by Aelinor and most everyone, she didn't take it so well. She has not been quite the same these past few years. But in particular, the events of the past couple of weeks have been quite troubling, and a lot of things have fallen on her shoulders to take care of.
Perhaps me being here now is a good sign.
Perhaps. Of course, I'm welcome to see you, lassie. It's been too long. Even in dwarven years, you're staying away for far longer than you should. You know that.
I know. Outside of this place, the pulls of the world become strong, and the tether to this place weakens. But I'm here for many reasons, for homecoming and to lay someone to rest myself, and perhaps to lift some of the burden of this place.
Well, regardless of anything, you're welcome here always, for eternity. You know that.
Of course.
And who is it that you've brought to meet your lovely family? I'm Thistlebeard, by the way. That's what everyone calls me. I'm the groundskeeper. Groundskeeper. Oh, aren't you a lovely little one? Wait a minute, I've seen you. I remember you.
Would I remember him?
Yeah, you probably met him once.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
It's
he
been
stands
quite
out,
a while.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I might be a little taller. Grown just a bit.
Maybe an inch or two.
She's kept me alive this whole time, so that's frankly very impressive.
It's what she does, lass. But these other two,
Yeah.
I've not seen their like. And he kind of looks over at Kettle, and there's this like mirthful smile. He just kind of steps in front of him, and he holds out a hand. What's your name there, Sonny?
Hi, I'm Kettle Portsmouth. Sorry.
Does Kettle like take his hand?
Yeah, he does, and like
As soon as he does, I need you to make a Constitution saving throw, please.
Oh yeah, let's do it. It's cooking something. It's a 14.
That's fine. As soon as you clasp his hand, you immediately jerk your hand away in pain, as there is a thistle in his palm, and now has attached itself to your palm, and is causing you a decent amount of pain in your hand. Not really damaging you in any way, but as you jerk your hand away and, wince in pain at that, there's this mirth coming from Thistlebeard.
I don't ow. It's funny. I try to like pull it out.
Yeah, you pull it out. You pull it out with ease. There's a few prickly spots in the palm of your hand. He just kind of reaches out, snatches your hand. You have pretty much no hope of like contesting him in strength. And as he's like holding your hand there, in his other hand, he like he's rubbing his fingers together, and there's a small leaf there that he is like crumbling up, and kind of it's practically turning into like a paste in between his fingers, and he just kind of rubs it into the palm of your hand for a moment, and it soothes the pain of it, and then he just kind of smacks your hand in between the two of his. Doesn't really hurt that much, but it's a mirthful thing for him, and he just laughs again, and he says, don't worry, don't worry, I've got you. What's your name there, son?
Me again. Kettle. I'm Kettle.
Well, I'm not talking to anyone else, boyo. And he is looking down at you for sure.
Yeah.
But it's Well, it's good.
He looks around to everyone else and goes, this guy reminds me of my dad. I don't know how to feel.
Don't know what to tell you, man.
I kind of dig it. It's cool. I'm Kettle Portsmouth, and puff out my chest. It's all awkward.
As you kind of puff out your chest a bit, you can see that, you know, his mirth kind of grows a fair bit, and he said, Portsmouth, you said?
Yeah, that's me.
I knew a Portsmouth. No, never mind. I knew a Danksmith, not a Portsmouth. I'm sorry. I don't know you or your clan.
It's all good. happy to be the first. We don't work with plants like you all. We're more so of like iron workers and blacksmiths, but
It's a perfectly worthwhile profession to be in iron.
Okay. And he's gonna like kind of just gently, because again he's still like, yeah, this guy reminds me of my
As you're
dad.
stepping away, Thistlebeard picks up on the cue relatively easily, and he turns to look up at Karnak and said, "You're a tall feller."
That's right. The name's Karnak.
Oh, that got loud. Karnak is a. You're
Yeah.
You're from the plains, I assume.
What gave it away?
Well, mostly your skin, but
I mean, yeah, you see an orange orc and you think he's from the plains. I can
no,
understand
I'm referring to the dryness.
Oh,
You need to use some moisturizer there, lad.
yeah. I'm sure
He just
you've
kind
got
of reaches back
plenty
behind.
of-
He just reaches back behind him and hands a pouch out to you. And he says, "Here's some aloe leaves. They work wonders. You just mix them in with a little bit of whatever it is that you prefer odor-wise. I generally think, you know, there's a few different plants that work better for that sort of thing. But yeah, you just rub it particularly on your neck regions, I think. That's the most dry spot for you, it looks."
Do you have anything
Right.
for his breath?
I mean, I do, and he just kind of started. Here's some mint for you too. You could do that in with the aloe to, you know, if you're looking
Chew
for
it.
that sort of scent. But yeah, there you go.
All up in here.
Anything I can do to help
Right.
there, lad.
I mean, yeah, it looks like you've got a menagerie of alchemical ingredients on your persons. I'm sure Kettle has a couple of problems you could probably help solve too. I mean, he's really short on a couple of his ingredients, so I'm sure if you helped him out, he'd be in
I don't
much
know if that's the
gratitude.
joke you want to make here right now with you.
But you're a wizard, right?
Yeah,
You're a
but
wizard,
you really-
Kettle.
Yeah, you really want to be making these kind of jokes with the current company we're in?
Oh, you're a wizard there, laddie.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
a wizard.
I thought you said you worked with iron.
I do. So that's what my family's known for, and that's how I grew up. But there's other things that you can do with iron, and I tend to lean towards more of the arcane. Yeah. Iron's good, hard, solid, reliable in a battle, but you know, a little extra oomph never hurt nobody.
Sure. Whatever works for you there, son. Anyway, and he kind of turns back to Maeve and he says, "So I assume then if Yara didn't, well, if she sent you my way before sending you on to Aelinor, she didn't tell you much about nothing, did she?"
No, she didn't tell us much of anything.
Well, I think part of that is just her training. I think part of it's she's just a bit scared.
Scared of what?
The woodland's encroaching.
I can feel it.
We're seeing things come out of it now. We've had incursions. Hasn't been Hasn't been easy. Eleanor thinks that the wards are failing. He's gone in a couple of times. And, well, it's just not... It's not a great situation. The Umbral have, they've almost turned dark with it. There's a good number of them that think that this might be the end times for them. They've lost a lot. We're doing 2 or 3 ceremonies a day now. Not easy. And well, today's ceremony is going to be even harder.
What is today's?
One of the Umbral fell in the forest, and not a minute past his demise, stood back up, curse taking him. And that's not happened in very, very long time. And they had to slay him twice before he stayed down. And we're still honoring everything, and we're laying him to rest, but there's a lot of folk here who... You'll see. I'll take you. It might be good having a night warden here. He's staring directly at Sai.
I'm glad to help in any way I can.
You might help smooth some things over. Anyway, it's good seeing you. It's so good. And he just kind of reaches out and clenches onto your hand. Glad you're back. For however long it might be.
I may seek you out later.
I'll be around.
May have need of your advice.
Of course. You said that you... And he starts leading you all into the deeper into the orchard. You had mentioned that you have someone that you'd like to lay to rest too. What happened?
In a manner of speaking, Maeve will hold her staff out so that he can see the shifting on it.
Oh, sweet love. And he just kind of snatches the staff from her and he's holding it up. You know that part of his responsibilities are also participating in the enchanting of these staves. And so as he's holding it up and looking at it, at first he almost has this look of concern. But very quickly his expression changes to wonder and amazement. And he just kind of looks back at you with this wide-eyed expression. What is it?
It's a fragment of an ascendant.
He like fumbles, almost dropping it before catching it. What in the world have you been up to?
Saving the world.
All right then. And he just kind of hands it back to you. That you're gonna want to talk to Eleanor about. Yeah. That's a little bit outside of my ken.
I promised to lay it to rest, so the advice that I was going to ask you was to see what plants you would recommend for this.
Well, that's a new one. I'm gonna have to mull that one over.
Of course.
Why is it black?
I'm not completely sure. It's filled with sorrow. Its name has been lost to history, and it will never rest. Nothing except this small part.
You're gonna have to tell me that story over a pint.
It's a good one.
Come on then. And he just kind of continues leading you deeper and deeper into the Bone Orchard. As you all make your way further and further in, you can feel, the closer that you get to the core, a lot of the fear that you had been feeling on the outer edges of the orchard diminishes. It doesn't go away entirely, but it does lessen. It is replaced in some ways by a sense of the unknown, a foreboding uncertainty of what may come in the future. Sense that things are not what they used to be. And while the fear of it has been replaced with this unknown, this sense of the unknown, there is also moments, pockets. As you all travel through, you occasionally see other individuals, very obviously to the rest of you, druids, members of the Grove. Maeve spots people that she recognizes and nods in greeting, and they to her. No one really bats an eye at the presence of strangers to this place, but everywhere that there are people, there is an urgency to their demeanor, and that seems to kind of be propagating to the space around them as well, as you see the various plants and trees almost responding to the emotions of the people that live here. There aren't domiciles in the same sense that many of you would understand them to be. There are no houses or significant structures of any kind, really. Every now and then, you might see a canopy of trees that is shaped and tailored in such a way, naturally formed and grown, but opened. Grown in such a way as to provide shelter to any that might be there, where you can see perhaps, naturally formed furniture of a kind, even if it is just a fallen log, or perhaps even the semblance of a chair if druidic magic might have shaped one rather than it be, carved and made by a woodworker. This entire place feels grown more so than made. And as you go closer and closer into the core of the Bone Orchard, where things become a little bit more dense in regards to the number of people, you see this type of grown station more frequently. And where previously you had been seeing perhaps one or two random people, now you see gatherings of people. Sai probably is aware of this. Maeve is certainly aware of this. There's maybe only 100 people that live in the Bone Orchard, that call it home, that serve in with the druids of the Grove. And as you kind of maneuver your way through this, Karnak and Kettle in particular, the two of you definitely feel out of place. that there is no semblance of enough connection to nature that the two of you could possibly have to match the level of connection that these druids seem to have. And strikes the both of you that you haven't seen a single gravesite. You haven't seen a single gravestone. All of the notion of this place was that it was supposed to be a place where people are laid to rest, but neither of you have borne witness to anything that would indicate such a place to either of you.
Well, Kettle, for once, nobody's staring at me.
Yeah. It's very surprising, actually.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But, do you see any of the mounds? No symbols, no pieces of dirt, no?
I don't think... Something tells me, like, traditionally, there's not regular grave sites here. I don't know.
Am I stepping on someone right now?
Are we?
Are we? I don't know.
You're always stepping on someone.
Ah!
Great circle of life.
Oh, all right, let's not get philosophical here. Right. I'm trying to be what you would call respectful. Okay.
You're so sneaky.
Nailing
but
it.
that's a good question. It's called the Bone Orchard.
Right, I was figuring I'd see some tally bones from maybe some tribeland people, pick one up, settle a debt back in the tribe lands if I ever make my way back there.
The thoughts that run through your head are just... So it's
insane and good, I know. You don't have to tell me.
It's called the Bone Orchard. It's not made of, but like we're not...
Well, I mean, or they're not like growing bones on trees here. It's not like an orchard.
Well, no, I'm more so asking a question. Like, we aren't walking over. I would assume, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Do you look at Sai as you're asking
Maeve,
that?
Sai, just...
Yeah, I'm looking at Sai, like, just...
Where are the bone trees? Come on now.
We're not walking on anybody, are we?
I honestly can't say. The trees made entirely of bone are just on the other side of the orchard, so maybe we'll see those.
All right, well, I'm just gonna go through this place saying sorry in my head in case I step on someone.
Okay,
Cast levitate.
I could jump on the trees, but I figured I'd piss off a few druids if I did that.
Don't jump on the trees. Don't do that. I don't think this is a place.
Looks towards ankle biter.
Oh,
Don't
right.
jump on the
We
trees.
forgot entirely. We forgot entirely about ankle biter. Right. Yeah.
No.
Your clawfoot plains runner hasn't really gotten much notice. Primarily, you would think it might be because he doesn't like wear packs and saddles and all of that sort of thing. So he's not, he looks more like a wild animal than he does any kind of a mount or a beast of burden of any kind. And it seems to you anyway, in particular, that no one here has any issues with animal kind. So,
I mean, why would I need to put it on him? I've got my turtle sack on my back here. It carries all my stuff in it.
The sound of that. I've got my turtle sack on my back. Maeve, I have a question.
as you go up and like catch Maeve's shoulder and such, I had kind of left her out of this conversation because I felt she would have been a little bit focused and distracted from before. And certainly Thistlebeard has been like walking next to her and with her as you're going through. So I would expect, but you can roleplay this as you like. I would expect Maeve to perhaps start a little bit at Kettle, tugging on her shirt sleeve.
Or I can back up. That's fine. Do you think? I can wait.
Did you need something?
Yeah, if it's not too much. So all are welcome here. So different cultures, aspects of life, they can be laid to rest here.
Yes. It is traditionally reserved for people who have perished in the Black Timber Woodland.
Do you guys keep record of those?
We do have a record of the people we have laid to rest, yes.
Oh, and do you have with those records, you keep what you're supposed to do? Does everybody get the same ceremony, or is it?
Many of the people who are laid here are the Umbral, and so they have family around who inform us of what their wishes may have been. We gather as much information as we can about each person before we lay them to rest, and try as best we can to respect their wishes.
Got it. We're not walking on anybody, are we? We're not.
No, there are paths.
Karnak stops tiptoeing.
Maybe we'll start to point out some of the trinkets and the flowers and things that mark where people are laid to rest.
As she points out different things, you can see now, as she points them out, the symbolism and such of the markings being very non-traditional to what either of you would know. The closest thing that Karnak might be able to see is maybe the occasional dream catcher, or at least a group of vines and flowers that are shaped in such a way as it looks similar to a dream catcher. That's the closest kind of symbology that he would be able to recognize. For Kettle, none of it would be familiar to him. This whole place is probably an alien world to him in a lot of ways.
And with that, while they're walking, he's scribbling down notes, but he's also kind of drawing out certain things that he's seeing, little small aspects that are interesting, and notes of okay, barn orchard, druidic
right,
ceremony,
and put right there, where you wrote that one right there. Yeah, make sure you write shaman.
Get off me.
Hey, don't hit me.
I'm in the middle of something. You always do this.
I'm trying to help you out. You putting notes in there.
You want to help me? You want to help me? You want to help me?
Yes. All right.
Put me on your shoulder so I can see better.
What?
This'll
You
be
know
it.
what? That's the first time I'm surprised you asked me to do that.
This'll be it. Is Songwind still here?
Thistlebeard has just been sitting back, this huge smile on his face, the knobs of his cheeks are just permanently puffed up as he's watching these two interact, and he just kind of shakes his head a little bit and says, sorry?
Songwind. Is Songwind still here?
Yeah, he kind of is looking around. They're probably south a bit, over not too far from the woodland at this point. They've been taking some notes about the most recent incursion, and so they're probably taking care of that business.
I think Kettle might enjoy speaking with Songwind at some point.
Oh, all right. Hang on. And he just kind of rummages in his pouch for a second, and he pulls out this small acorn, and you see him just kind of fixated on it for a second. And he closes his eyes, and you can see him kind of mumbling under his breath, and then he crushes it in his palm. And when he opens his palm, it turns into this little tiny bird. And the bird just kind of flies off.
I didn't know birds came from acorns.
They don't. This is on top of your head.
Do you want to visit this person or not? Because I can keep going that way.
You better not. It's real high up here.
Look,
You
you're
better
stuck
not.
up there now. If you want me to follow some bird, you better not be pulling on my hair or smacking me on the head.
That's fine. Here. Bo like kind of like shoves jerky in your mouth. Here. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Do I look like an ankle biter? You don't just feed me shit to make me do what you want.
It's okay. It's okay.
Uh,
Okay. All right. You're good.
fine.
Oh god, you two. You two don't know each other in real life other than this game, right?
Now, kindred souls.
Yeah. You're both from Texas. We'll just chalk it up to that. So, continuing on, as you guys move deeper into this place and there are more people congregated, Maeve and Sai, you would probably notice this pretty easily as well. You can see that there are a group of people kind of off to one cloistered area, one that traditionally has been used for preparing for a ceremony. And you see, laying on what appears to be a series of very, very large, woven together limbs, mostly of pine with layers of leaves and stuff gathered over it. You see a body, a figure, laying there. And you step forward just to try to get a better look. You don't go, like, you're not, I'm not saying you're inserting yourselves into that mess, but you're just kind of eyeing it over to get a little bit of a better glimpse at it. Curiosity being what it is and the like. And Sai, there is a moment of panic within you. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw, please.
Golly. $18.
Okay. You're shaken, but you keep your wits about you. Maeve would probably be able to notice this on this reaction in Sai. Sai has you experience momentarily fleeting moments, flashbacks, being chased in the woodland, being hunted by these undead abominations of creatures. These beings without thought or any semblance of humanity. Simply mindless monsters that wanted to destroy you.
It's a bit familiar.
Do any of us, do the rest of us notice that, or is it just Maeve that clocks it?
What are Karnak and Kettle's passive insights? Maeve certainly clocks it because Maeve and Sai have been together for a long time, so.
17.
Insight or perception?
Insight.
Dang, it's a 13.
Karnak would see it. I would say Kettle is probably very focused on the ceremony of it all, as it were. like he's probably picking up on the minutia, the details, where they've got like this finely woven cloth, seemingly made of perhaps spider's web, kind of draped over part of the body. There appears to be some kind of a leaf upon each eye of the body that's laying there. Number of the individuals that are moving around seem to be like, they're not pouring water, but they're kind of reaching their hands into a natural water bowl of some kind and gently sprinkling it, almost like purposefully dripping it as if it were raindrops. You know how rain gathers up on a leaf and then falls in a large drop? That's kind of the way that they're going about this entire space. There's this entire ritual about everything that they're doing, and Kettle is probably very caught up in all of the minutiae and detail of that. But Maeve, and particularly Maeve, Karnak, you're probably picking up on it a little bit as well. You can see the reaction in Sai right now.
Maeve just sort of sidles over to Sai and takes their hand and squeezes it gently.
So you look like you've seen a battle that you've had PTSD from.
Yeah, unfortunately. I think we've shared an experience. It's fine.
Karnak will give her like a firm pat on the back.
Good job. You'll be all right. You'll do great.
Thank you.
Stand
I think
still. I'm
Sai-
trying to get everything written down.
Do you just like
You know,
have the book like opened
my
on the
head
top
is
of his
not
skull?
a table.
On his head.
Oh yeah, it's completely just like out, and he's like, oh, everything has a purpose. It's just like really kind of like just detailing all of the notes of like what's happening.
You spilled ink in my hair again.
Sorry. I got excited.
I'm half tempted to throw him off at this point.
You know what? You know what? This is fine. You could just set me down.
And he just
And
rears
I'll
back
leave it.
like a bucking horse. Just,
I swear. I'm gonna
feels
stab you in the
good to stretch the back of shoulders, you know. Oh, you down there?
This whole display is a very welcome distraction for Sai.
Sure.
Who is able to, I think, pull back from, I guess, being locked in that memory to being where they are now and everything.
Karnak picks Kettle up by the back of his shirt and kind of brushes him off a little bit while holding him in the air.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. You got it. Okay.
Right.
Does Maeve do anything during
Need to
all of
talk to
this?
this beard.
Maeve just shakes her head and is like, these two are gonna be who they are, and that's fine. This is fine.
Oh,
Sitting there
God.
with a cup
I
of
love
coffee,
that.
the room
This
burning
is
around her.
Like, kind of nodding apologetically to anyone that looks their direction because of all of the chaos that these two are creating.
Sure.
Sorry.
Does Karnak have enough insight to know that Maeve is feeling embarrassed because he's willing to keep going if that's what the case is?
Maeve keeps things pretty close to the chest, so maybe not.
No.
Regardless, though, in this moment that all of this is happening, a voice comes from behind you. You all turn to look, and you see an elven man, a fairly stately individual, wearing relatively mundane robes, as it were, but even in their just normal appearance, there is an air of dignity about them. This figure presents almost perfect authority. There's no overtly outward emotion coming from them. There's not any discontent to any of the antics that have just been taking place, which obviously this individual would have had to have borne witness to. And there's no sense of anything wrong or the like in their presence. But immediately, Maeve, as you gaze upon Elder Aelinor, you can see in his eyes the closest thing that you ever see to joy coming from them, as he looks upon you, and he very, very formally, at least in the eyes of the rest of you anyway, bows. His eyes dropping away, his head lowered to an almost perfect 45 degrees away from his hips, and he holds that position for several long moments.
Maeve returns the bow.
As soon as she does, he stands back up, somehow having been able to see her despite his eyes being averted. And as he looks upon all of the rest of you, there is a sense of calmness, a not quite reverence, but his presence just evokes that stature within the rest of you as well, seemingly unconsciously, as you can see this person of venerable respect standing in front of you. Aelinor, as he's looking upon all of you, his eyes rest on Sai for perhaps a little bit longer of a moment than he did the rest, and he just nods his head almost imperceptibly in their direction before his gaze returns back to Maeve. And he says, "I'm glad that you've returned."
It is good to be home.
What has brought you?
Trouble. I think the same trouble that you have been facing.
We should talk then.
I'm at your service.
You've been away for too long. No one is at my service. We're all here in service of those that have fallen. And his gaze kind of shifts over to the one being prepared for ceremony.
Is there anything that I can do, or that Sai can do to help?
Perhaps. The fallen one has been disgraced. There is much turmoil as to whether or not we should be honoring their sacrifice, for fear that the curse might take root. Night Warden, you may be able to allay such fears.
If I'm able to help, I'm glad to.
And his hand just kind of gestures in the direction of the fallen, as he called them. Participate
Okay.
in the cleansing. Your presence will be noticed.
Yes, sir. So I'll start walking over.
Turns back to Maeve. Come with me. And he just turns and starts walking away.
She follows.
So, do we just stand?
Just me and you, Kettle. I mean, we just gonna stand here for all they care.
I mean, nobody asked for our help. Not like
it-
we can do stuff.
At least we were. They're missing out, right? I mean,
It's
best
their
here.
loss.
And that is the
100%.
fateful
they're
day that the
lost.
bone orchard burned.
Both of you jump and startle as Thistlebeard just emerges, standing behind and between the two of you, seemingly out of
I've
nowhere.
got like a 21 passive perception. This is bull.
You were distracted. Thistlebeard
Kettle,
just,
why are you distracting me?
he
Is my
says,
dad behind us again?
you know, I've got some
Oh,
flowers
oh,
that need
Daddy.
picking. If you all want to help me with some flowers, we can go off and take care of some of that.
Is that some dwarf euphemism?
The fuck?
No, he really means to go pick flowers.
Oh, he means
You
pick
really
flowers. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay, all right. I mean, it's not my area of expertise, but I guess I can.
We would love to.
All right,
Great.
we're good.
And he just slaps his hands on both of your backs. Karnak, for the first time in like a long time.
What the hell? What are you made of?
Tree
Hey,
bark.
Thistlebeard, how do I get as big as you?
Tree bark.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep.
And he
Apparently,
leads
you
the
need
two
to
of
start
you all.
eating tree bark.
Yeah, I do.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and a few minutes early take our break for the moment. Please stay with us. We will not be long, I promise you. You're just going to get up, stretch the legs, refill beverages, and the like, and we shall return to find out what all of this dark portent is within the Bone Orchard. Bye for now. And welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking with us through that little tiny bit of a break. We are going to jump right back into the action, so to speak. Where we left off, our intrepid heroes were seemingly becoming aware of the situations going on inside of Maeve's home, the Bone Orchard, wherein everyone seemed to be preparing for a contentious ceremony laying a soul to rest that had fallen from some recent dark ongoings. They'd met a number of prominent individuals within the Bone Orchard, and Sai had been requested to go and inspect, to participate in some way in the preparing of the fallen for the ceremony, the presence of a night warden, potentially, hopefully, allaying any fears regarding the fallen and the fate that had which led them to their demise, and what that might mean for the Bone Orchard if they were to be laid to rest here. So, Beth, As Sai makes their way over to where the ceremony is taking place, your wisdom saving throw earlier is perfectly fine. You still have your wits about you and all of that, even if you are getting closer to the source of something that is somewhat triggering to the past that you yourself, or that Sai has with the Black Timber Woodland. That you're still a little unnerved by it, right? That it's still not an easy thing to do in any way, shape, or form. Being a Night Warden is hard in general. This circumstance is made all the harder by Sai's personal history. And so, is there anything in particular that you would like to do as you approach to check any of this out?
Yes. So I think Sai has kind of learned through this, experience as a Night Warden that you really have to kind of just get to the work of it and let sort of your own emotions to the side, because, there are plenty of other people there who have their own feelings that are going to be present. And so my job is my job. So I think, given that this is a particularly tough one, I think that, Sai will lean a little bit more heavily into that. So they'll reach into a pouch, and they've got a tincture of cypress oil. We'll sort of put a little on their hands and walk over to... does it look like there's somebody who is kind of leading the charge, or someone that I could,
Not really, no.
talk
So
to
this,
without being disrespectful?
no, the circumstance seems to be more like there's about 5 individuals that are participating in this cleansing ritual, as it were, and it isn't that anyone is like leading. It's not a magical rite, there isn't someone sitting
Sure.
there with like a prayer book, citing incantations and such. It's more about preparing the body than anything else.
Mhm.
And it seems like each of the 5 individuals have a task, and most all of those tasks appear to have either been completed now or are nearing their completion. And so the 5 individuals, having seen one of these rituals maybe once before in your previous time here in the Bone Orchard with Maeve, and certainly Sai being a Night Warden and their understanding of death in so many ways, you would probably be able to recognize that these are people that are equals in every sense of the word. And so you joining into this certainly is not going to raise any concern or anything like that. There isn't anyone who's going to challenge you and say, don't do that or whatnot. You're a frickin' Night Warden. And you're easily recognizable, especially by people that are, part of this Circle of the Grove, whose entire responsibility deals with this sort of thing, right? They are intimately familiar with you as a Night Warden, and so you pretty much can do whatever you like here.
All right. I think Sai will approach the body, giving, I guess, a look of acknowledgement to those that have been working with preparing the body, and Sai will get to work, I guess, preparing the soul. So as they stand close, the first sort of step of this is just reaching out and connecting with Nocturnus, and oh man, hey bud, and trying to connect in a very familiar way, but I think the way that Sai is reaching out right now has a touch more urgency to it, given the circumstances. So they'll spend their energy trying to see if Nocturnus can offer any particular wisdom in this case.
Are you going to be invoking any of your divine magic to reach out to Nocturnus?
Sure, yeah, I could do that. I would love to use my divine intervention and see if I can use that to my advantage.
Breaking out the big gun. All right.
I mean, we're here, you know. It's a big day at the Bone Orchard.
Roll well.
Yeah, I guess we'll just do our best. Okay. Percentile dice? Jesus.
Percentile dice.
Well, we're gonna do it. 21.
Nope.
Dang. Okay. Well, that's
So-
fine.
As you reach deep into yourself, making the connection with Nocturnus that you know is always there, and invoking a desire for them to come to you and guide you on what you need to do. You feel their presence. You feel it grow. You feel the warmth in your chest, the cold on your skin. You know that they're with you. And as it reaches its crescendo, just before it begins to start to fade away from your request, which you know is not being honored, you hear in your mind, "You know what needs done."
I think there's a wave of comfort in knowing that even though the full request wasn't met, that there is acknowledgement. I think there's also a wave of frustration, just like for like one time, could this be the one where you just help me out, please? And then sort of just, you know, shaking it off to get back to business. Oh boy. I guess I'll continue the basics of this ritual, at least the initial portion. How does this soul, I guess, feel to me compared to every other person that I've dealt with?
Why don't you go ahead and give me a religion check?
I'm super good at that. 8.
Okay. You've seen the dead before. You have seen undead before. You have seen undead that are actually dead, where their curse of undeath has been removed from them. This fallen one is none of those. They are somewhere in between, and you can't quite suss out what that means. I will say
Okay.
that given the unknowns of everything, Sai would reasonably believe that if they were to invoke a turn undead, no ill could happen from that. And it could be a way of confirming whether or not this thing is actually, whether their curse of undeath has been fully lifted or not.
I can certainly do that. Yeah, let's see. Okay, good. Just making sure I didn't already mess that up. Yeah, I'll do a turn undead then. Wisdom saving throw, I guess.
Well, you don't have to do anything other than expend the turn undead use of your turn undead. I'm curious in this case what it looks like for Sai to invoke this.
So I think that this is like the feeling of this like reaches like from the belly, you know, it's like a bigger sort of pull, and as Sai is sort of connecting with the soul of this dead undead person, they, I guess, like, just sort of reach, and there's like a very gentle like pushing motion to just kind of try to I guess turn undead.
Sure. So as you pull on the powers of Nocturnus, you're already, you're probably a couple of hours away from before the suns start to set in the west, and so there's still a lot of light out at the moment, but the entire area darkens to twilight. It shifts into that twilight hour, the manifestation of your invoking of Nocturnus. And in the few seconds that this lasts, you expel the energy of deific power within you, imploring anything that is a facsimile of life, anything that is stuck in that state of undeath, to disperse or to flee. You evoke that power, and you are immediately overwhelmed by a hollowness coming from the fallen. You, as a Night Warden, as a cleric that understands death so intimately, you know that when death takes you, your spirit lingers for some time in your body, usually waiting, sometimes cursed to stay in that waiting state forever. It's one of the tasks of a Night Warden. And when that soul moves on, it leaves an emotion behind. There is something there. It's the inane sense that we all have when one of our closest friends or family members passes away, when we visit their gravesite and we think that we can still feel them. That lingers. And Sai, in this moment, knows that lingering sense is gone. The fallen's soul has been taken. There is nothing to harness. There is nothing to tether to lead into the afterlife. There is nothing to guide into the realm of Nocturnus. There is nothing to give to the ascendant of death. It has been ripped from this being, and you feel the hollowness there. There is no threat. There is no curse. It's worse. There's nothing. We will leave you there for the moment as we turn back to Maeve. Maeve, currently walking with Elder Aelinor. You can truly feel the commanding presence that he gives. There's a comfort to it in so many ways. You know that Elder Aelinor has been an elder for a couple of centuries at this point, and he served the Grove for a couple of centuries before that. And he has seen so much in that time. And even Maeve can feel from him a little bit of unease. And as the two of you are walking, he says, "Noticed your stave. I can feel the power from it. It is significant."
It is the fragment of an ascendant.
There is a momentary glance in her direction. A hint of surprise in his gaze. And to what blessing does this ascendant give to a humble druid of Grove?
I promised it that I would lay it to rest.
Your adventures have taken you quite far from the Grove, from this place.
To places I never would have imagined.
Well, it would seem that what you have done has been important. Hold on to that. Don't ever let obligation get in the way of what you feel you must do. As he's you guys are just kind of meandering. There is no, meeting hall. There's no home of the elder to sit down and have a chat and that sort of thing. The entire bone orchard is his home in so many ways. And so as the two of you are just kind of walking along, you can see that he keeps glancing south. There's a heaviness on his shoulders. He's not one that speaks boastfully or often. The most that he ever speaks is in the rare ceremonies that the elder leads. Usually it's not them. Usually that task falls to one of the many other druids of the Grove present. And so it's very rare for him to want to need to exchange a great many words with others. But as he stands there, pausing for a moment and looking southward, seemingly vexed, he asks you, what darkness is it that brings you to us?
A darkness that would undo the world.
The forest, woodland, is failing. There are a great many umbral that think that this is the last days. And once the curse breaks free, all of the world will be consumed by it.
It will be if we cannot stop the threat. And I believe I know some of where it comes from.
You should know there's a burden that some of us have had to have taken upon ourselves in the last weeks. Baelora has taken the most of it, in that 4 of the Grove had to be laid to rest.
So many.
Yes. She has taken it hard. She also does not agree with what we are doing today, laying the fallen to rest. As important as it might be, as much as you might want to participate, I would ask of you a favor. You came seeking this darkness. Do not linger. Do not hesitate. Do what must be done. And please, and you hear an imploring in his voice that is so uncharacteristic. Please save us.
I will do everything in my power.
I know you will. And she will understand, even if she does not like it. Be patient with her. She has endured much.
I understand.
And he just kind of lingers there for a few moments. And you're used to the gaze of the Elder upon you, and you don't wither from it. You might have in your younger years, but you certainly don't now. And you can easily recognize a sense of pride within him. And there's the ever so slight curl of his lip as he nods to you and turns to walk away.
I think Maeve stands there for several long moments after he leaves, and gazes to the south where he was looking and just lays her hand on one of the trees nearby, trying to absorb from some of the dread from this place and return a sense of peace to the grove.
Okay. Give me a wisdom saving throw.
"15.
Okay. It's almost too much to bear. Within moments of your hand placed upon the tree, you can feel the dread seeping into you, not trying to overwhelm you, not trying to like flash panic you or anything like that. It's almost like it is filling every emotion of joy or happiness that you might have in your psyche and replacing it with fear and dread. And it takes several pregnant paused moments of steady breathing for you to control it. And you pull your hand away and you clench your fist almost in pain because of it. And as you turn to walk away, you see a familiar figure standing in front of you. She's much older now than when you last saw her. Barely a teenager then. She has changed much. And you can see in Phelora's eyes a pain that she does not hide. The youthful, pleasant smile that she once had is replaced entirely by a thin, pursed line of grimace. And her demeanor is rigid and harsh as she stares at you. The once twinkle in her violet eyes is now dulled. And you can tell very clearly that she is hostile to you.
Maeve will bow and lower her eyes in a way that signifies that if Phelora wanted to attack in some way, Maeve would not defend herself.
As you take the formal bow of the grove, there's a pause. You're waiting for the telltale sounds that you can hear when someone returns the bow. You're waiting for several long moments. And just before you think that she's not going to return the gesture, you hear the movement of her clothes as she bows towards you as well. But when you raise up, and she raises up simultaneously with you, the pain is still there. There's a single tear just waiting to drop out of the corner of her eye. And her fists are clenched at her side as she looks at you. And she says, "Why were you gone so long? Why did you not come back to us?"
I let competing obligations keep me away for too long.
You made a choice. Stay away. We
I did.
needed you. I needed you.
I am sorry for the weight of the burden you have had to bear because of my absence.
My mother was the first to fall. It should have been you. And she turns
Perhaps.
and storms away.
Maeve is gonna call after her and
She
say,
stops.
perhaps it should have been me, but I will not pretend that the work I have been doing was not also important.
What's Maeve's passive perception?
Perception is 14.
She's looking at the back of Phalora. She sees the faintest shudder. And there's just the hint of the sound of stifled crying.
If she stays there, I will approach slowly and put my hand on her shoulder.
There's a flinch as you put your hand on her shoulder. And there's several long moments that go by as she collects herself and calms herself. And you hear very faintly, almost too soft to really hear, but just enough. Do what you need to. But then go. Please. And she pulls away from Maeve's grip and walks away.
Maeve will stay there for a little while longer and then slowly make her way back toward the ceremony.
Okay. I'm assuming that Kettle and Karnak have been helping Thistlebeard with gathering some flowers.
Picking posies.
So exactly how much bark do I have to eat to get this wide? Like, is it like an entire tree? Is it just a slab a day?
How old is Kettle?
Geez, he's young. He's the dwarven equivalent to like 1920.
Okay, so he's like 40.
Yeah.
So, as you're having this conversation with Thistlebeard, Kettle's not an idiot, right? He knows when somebody is making light and joking and such. And Thistlebeard, Thistlebeard's definitely like, feeding him a yarn a little bit, doing it well-intentionedly and on purpose, like trying to make this a shared joke kind of experience.
And no, it's like Kettle's not dumb. It's just more so of like he's learning a lot right now, and maybe this is something he just didn't know. Like, oh, okay, maybe it is what it is. He's trying to be open-minded.
I'm sure it'll add some fiber to your diet.
Yeah. I don't.
If you weren't regular, you will be. I'll assure you.
Yeah. Never mind. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Right.
The conclusion of most all of that is Thistlebeard basically planting one of his giant hands, which consumes almost the entirety of Kettle's shoulder, right? Placing a hand on Kettle's shoulder and being like, "Don't worry, lad, you'll be fine. You just need a couple more decades is all."
I'm sure you'll grow up big and strong like he did.
I will smack you.
Let me bend over so you can get closer.
It's like this.
That.
I will smack you.
So, does Sai do anything in particular after these revelations, or do they just kind of walk away shaken from the experience?
I think that the immediate reaction would be physical, feeling a searing pain in the old wound on their leg, and sort of buckling from it down to a knee. Has Zai ever experienced the total lack of a soul before?
Only in creatures that are so far down the path of undeath that the curse of undeath has already moved their souls along. But even that usually leaves the lingering.
Yeah.
So while they've experienced like not having to ferry a soul off to Nocturnus before, the lingering has always been there.
Yeah. I think that emptiness just sort of tears apart in their chest, and there's a moment of just overwhelming grief. They're able to catch their breath, realize that they've sort of collapsed here, and stand back up quickly. They'll look around to the others that have been doing their work here.
Is Sai attempting to hide any of this? Is Sai capable of hiding?
No.
Okay.
No. That's a part of me that Sai has, incapable of hiding an emotion.
Okay.
No, I think too, like with the physical reaction and everything, it's very clear.
Yeah. One of the druids will actually come over to Sai and offer a water skin, and say, "Are you all right?"
Just a bit taken with this one.
Right.
Thank you.
Many of us are suffering similarly. What does a Night Warden have to say with this ceremony?
I mean, it's first of all an honor to see how your rituals unfold. In this particular case, the body's been beautifully prepared. However, there wasn't much for me to work with, which is unfortunate.
She bows her head and nods in a way that you think she understands, but you know she doesn't. Not in the same way that you do.
Sai will not go into further detail with them. They're dealing with an unfortunate amount of shit right now, and I don't think Sai wants to throw this dread upon them. I think they'll still carry on with the other basics of what would be their typical ritual, with that hollowness sort of ringing through. And after all that, I think they would take a few steps back and just say some individual prayers, not affiliated with their work, but just, I guess, reaching out out of need. And then I think after all of that, they would turn to go back to their friends to hopefully try to talk this out.
Yeah. When Sai goes through all of that circumstance, there is a lot of reverence to the actions that Sai takes. These people very much understanding the role of the Night Warden and such. And as Sai goes to leave, almost all of them, perhaps one of them not, one of them just kind of holding back, in the same way that Sai doesn't always want to, express themselves. Like, there's that one person that also does that too, but the others all approach Sai and thank them, in some form or another in honor of their being a Night Warden and the like. And it's interesting for Sai because most people that bear witness to this don't like the presence of the Night Warden, right? And this is like, for most people, the Night Warden is like, it means things are over. It means things are done, right? And so the fact that these people recognize the honored station that a Night Warden has in the world and are giving that position the reverence that Sai feels from just being a Night Warden, I think would stand out to them. But all of that aside, you finish up with that. I will say that Karnak and Kettle come back with armloads of flowers and the like, with Thistlebeard, who takes them off of your hands before the three of you meet up, and you can all see Maeve slowly making her way towards all of you as well. Is Maeve putting on a brave face at the moment?
Yes. Sai can tell that something is up, but since the other two have not been around her for a long time, she kind of holds herself in a way that, like, things are fine, there's a job to do, we need to do it.
Okay. So the four of you do gather back up to discuss.
Well, I'm gonna smell like Maeve by the end of this journey from all the flowers I've been picking.
There's not enough flowers in this bone. Anyway,
Anything's an improvement.
What? Yeah, I don't smell anything.
And that's part of the problem. Just kidding. Continue.
Sai, how was the ceremony?
A new experience this time around. I think Sai sort of hesitates a bit because this is just a really terrible feeling, just bad vibes kind of thing that they want to explain, but also seeing that Maeve is not right. I think that they're sort of hesitant, but I mean, we have to address all of this. So, there was no soul. And that's not the worst thing, but there wasn't even a fragment of it left, a sort of the whisper of what once was. They were just entirely empty.
And wait, and this was this was one of the people that fell from the forest?
Yeah.
You whisper into the dead.
In a sense.
It's her job, man.
What? I didn't know.
It's what they do. Night Warden is what they do.
Do? You saunter up to the dead and do something? I mean, they're already dead.
You're not wrong. My role is kind of to, I guess, help the intangible parts of a dead body get to where they need to go.
Yeah, they usher them along. They make the path smoother from this plane to the next.
Yeah.
I don't see a road. I'm sure you did great.
Well,
I
it's
don't know,
more
to be
concerning. So, what did you do if there was nothing to put? And the woods is doing that, and we're going there.
I haven't gotten to that part of it yet. I haven't seen anything quite like this before, and I don't know if this is characteristic of more than just this one person. It doesn't feel good, though.
Right. Maeve, how was old Sharp Ears?
The trouble, I think, that they've been experiencing here is the same thing which brought us all to this place. I think the mask bearer, the final one, is causing the wards of this place to fail, are causing all sorts of things to come out of the woodland. The Umbral are concerned about the end of the world. They fear that whatever this is will consume the world.
Oh, but
Right. How do
Makes
we
sense.
fit into this?
I mean,
Does someone need a good stabbing?
possibly, yeah. Yeah, your time will come. I don't mean
someone
that in a
stab
Night
me.
Warden way. Sorry, I know I'm
Whoa.
wearing all the clothes and I've got the face on, and that
They
sounded.
better be right sneaky if they're gonna stab me.
It's been
Oh,
decreed
boy.
by the Night Warden, dude. Your time is up.
Look, I don't see a
was no
road or
decree.
path that she can smooth. Okay, so it's not my time.
They wouldn't guide you. They would just toss you over. You would just.
But I'm not as smart as you.
I don't know,
Night Wardens
souls are
can do
pretty light.
anything, man.
Oh boy.
Look,
Um,
I feel like we'll do just fine with whatever's in the scary woods over there.
So dialing it back, I think what's in the scary woods over there is what I saw. And what I saw, or from what I read, it's monstrous entities. Monstrous. That's what's in the woods. And that's obviously where you would come in to do the stabbing. I don't know if the magnitude of the monstrous part, but that's what we're going into. Yeah. You guys have done this before?
oh, only the once.
More than myself. Okay, cool. Okay, so when do we go?
We need to go soon. My family are afraid, and 4 of the druids have fallen in the last few weeks.
Where are they? Are they laid to rest here?
Yes.
Is one of the turning over to side? Is one of the people that you saw one of the druids that fell?
What now?
Is one of the person that you went to go help with and you found it was hollow? Was it
Oh.
one of the ones that fell? Like,
I presume so, right?
No. The one that fell was a umbral, one of the people that
An
lives in
umbral.
the Black Timber Woodland,
Gotcha.
keeping it safe.
Yes.
That wasn't one
Okay.
of the druids don't go into the Black Timber Woodland. The druids stay in the Bone
We're
Orchard
smart.
unless they're like Maeve, and then, go off. Every now and then, one might venture in with members of the Umbral to escort them, or, they might go in to deliver a message if it's horrifyingly rare for a member of the Druids of the Grove within the Bone Orchard to die from something that is not natural causes.
okay.
Like the 4
I
that have
guess-
passed away from this, that's more than the previous 2 centuries.
Jeez.
I guess what I'm thinking is because you said the umbral that you had assisted, there was no soul, there was nothing to guide.
No.
You also said you didn't know if it was just this isolated incident. Maybe if we could look at the other 3 that were. I mean, everything points that the wood is doing this, but
I think that some of it might have been the undead nature of this particular circumstance, but that might not be it. I suppose if we need more information on the druids that fell, I guess we could ask.
okay. No, I mean, we can just determine with everything that's going on that they're connected. Like Maeve said, we need to go pretty much now.
Yeah.
Look, it's gonna be dark, and I think that if we can get the jump on them, then we'll be good. Whatever this monstrosity is, we can make it afraid.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
Unless they smell me coming, because apparently you can.
You can.
Thanks.
Just looking out for you, buddy.
So what's the plan, ladies and gentlemen? And Aaron.
We're off to see the wizard. Alright.
I guess what else do we need to do here, Maeve?
At some point, I need to fulfill my obligation with this ascendant.
Should we do that now?
I would rather do it
Just in case.
before.
Yeah.
I put it off long enough.
Whatever you need to help, let me know. I'm good at picking flowers and other stuff, but I just,
Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that Kettle has been a blacksmith and like worked with iron and like his hands are calloused from that, he probably would be in a lot of pain right now.
yeah, a lot of thistles.
So,
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I guess we lay part of an ascendant to rest and then enter the darkest woods to ever exist and just keep on keeping on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you all right?
Yeah. Enough. I'll definitely feel better, after we lay this ascendant to rest. It's been on our to-do list for quite a while. It might feel good to check something off.
So what are we talking about? Like, you need a blanket and a pillow?
You gotta be kidding me.
Kettle, I'm not looking at you, okay? Alright, I'm looking at my...
No, I'm looking at you.
Alright, you need to just... don't make me put you in a tree. You remember what happened last time?
And
I will
swear
take your books.
sometimes
You won't be able to do any magic.
I will set you on fire.
So
I
back
can
to
do
what we was talking about, ignoring him. What do we need to do?
I think we need to go take care of possibly one of the most important things any of us has ever done in our lifetimes, before we, dive into the next big thing that will impact the world, and we should go.
Alright, let's get to it. Let's put her staff to rest, or whatever it is you
Not
call
the
it.
whole staff.
Just the tip.
Yes.
So what is
We
what
are
is
all
this?
adults.
Right, yeah, all adults. What does this look like here, Deb? Like, what does Maeve wish to do at this point for this task that she has before her?
Maeve wants to first go get some flowers. Hopefully Thistlebeard has had enough time to figure out what might be appropriate. I think Maeve also wants to, because Songwind is the lore keeper, I think Songwind would be a good addition to this group, just to mark down the sort of gravitas of the occasion. And then Maeve wants to go to that big sentinel tree right at the edge of the orchard that is made of the same stuff as her staff. And she will just sort of, I think, touch the staff to the ground in front of the tree.
Okay, well, we'll get to that then.
Sure.
So, as Maeve goes to check in with Thistlebeard, he of course has picked a variety of flowers. He goes through a few for you, talking about like what each of the flowers symbolize and that sort of thing. And he ends up settling on orchids and hyacinth flowers specifically for this ceremony, as both of those flowers represent memories and remembrance. And he offers poppies as well, but there's also a sense that poppies are perhaps more emotional. There's a certain like emotional health attached to poppies and what they symbolize as well. So he's going to kind of leave that to Maeve as to what if she wants to include poppies in her ceremony. And you had mentioned that you wanted to speak to Songwind, or you would like Songwind to participate with you?
Participate.
Okay. So as you're gathering up the flowers, and Thistlebeard is basically like, there's basically like dozens of these flowers that have been wrapped and prepared and formed into like bushels and the like, and he's basically loading Kettle and Karnak down with all of these bushels of flowers. And as he like shoves a giant mess of hyacinth in Kettle's face, Kettle, you hear the voice of the most beautiful voice Kettle has ever heard in his life, short of his mother singing to him as a wee tiny little dwarven, babe. He hears this melodic singing, almost singing voice from behind him, as you hear, "Good evening, everyone." And everyone turns, and looking behind them, they see this beautiful looking individual. There is no sense of gender among them, but their fur is exquisite, their attire is pristine, and everything about them, or I should say nothing about them, decries them as being part of the Circle of the Grove. There is no druidic nature within them that any of you are able to see. Maeve obviously knows better than that. Maeve understands, Songwind and their actual role here, and knows much more about them than any of the others. But as Maeve sees Songwind standing in front of her, they have this broad smile, not showing their fangs or anything like that, but this kind of natural smile on their with their cheekbones and fur and markings, and you can see the twinkling in their greenish eyes as the suns have moved further down the sky, the horizon, and we're reaching that dusk time frame. There's this almost ethereal glow around them. And Kettle, you can see that this person in front of you has a very large satchel of like books and scrolls hanging off of their hip, and in the same way that Thistlebeard had a large pack upon his back, there is a smaller version of that upon Songwind's back, and there's dozens and dozens of scrolls kind of poking out from behind Songwind. And as Songwind is looking at Maeve, there's kind of a delight in their expression as they say, "It has been so long. I'm so happy to see you."
And I'm happy to see you as well.
What can the chronicler do for you today, madam? As they kind of bow their heads slightly off to the side.
First, I would like to introduce you to my companions. Sai, of course, and Karnak, and Kettle, I think, might be particularly interested in speaking with you at some point. I think you share a love of knowledge.
Oh, of course. I cherish every ounce of history that I am able to absorb and pen. Are you a historian, young Kettle?
He's just kind of like mouth agape. He's like, a kind of, more so of the arcane history and anything else that I can have the opportunity to read or to look for. Hi, I'm Kettle.
Kettle, I think you dropped something. I think your dignity's on the floor there.
And I'm ignoring you.
I saw his lip quiver. It means he likes you.
There is a moment of mirth in Songwind and a slight, teetering laugh. And Songwind just kind of shakes their head a little bit and looks back towards Kettle, and the rest of you are able to pick up on this, like, almost batting of the eyes, as it were. But Kettle doesn't have a good enough passive insight to really pick up on the meaning of such things. Songwind simply says, I would cherish any and all opportunity to take a few moments and get to know what histories you have to offer.
I would be more than honored to sit down with you as well.
But now I think there is business to be had. Thistlebeard had mentioned that you had something of importance that needed to be discussed, sweet Maeve.
I wonder if you would be willing and interested in participating in a ceremony. An unusual one.
Always.
Maeve will hold her staff out a little so that Songwind can see it.
Songwind looks upon it, but Maeve knows that artifice is not Songwind's strength. And for all of the perceptiveness that her kind usually has, Songwind lacks a lot of that. Their mind is often meandering through so much lore. And so they don't have that same awareness. And they kind of look upon the staff and nod and smile and look back at Maeve expectantly.
In one of my previous adventures, deep under the sea, I met the memory of an ascendant.
How does that even work?
I'm not quite sure.
I mean, there's always been hypotheses about the lifespan of the Ascendant, whether or not they are truly immortal. But your suggestion is that at this meeting you have confirmed that Ascendants perish.
Yes.
Fascinating.
It was left as a protector, as a guardian, as a memory.
They are so strong that even in Death's grasp? They can hold on to their obligations to protect us in this world?
It seems that way.
Fascinating. And there's just this, like, almost lost in wonder kind of glazing over the eyes that they have in this moment. So much so that they're not even, like, writing any of this down. Like, their fingertips are stained with ink. Like, they use their claws for pens sometimes when their quill becomes too blunted. And they're just too enraptured by this revelation to even be able to write it.
That Ascendant's name has been lost to history, and it stands there, unable to rest for eternity. And so I promised them that I would take a fragment and lay it to rest.
I am humbled that you would allow a simple chronicler such as I to enshrine this story. I am honored.
I'm grateful for your role here, and I know your interest, and thought that this would not be something you should miss.
I thank you. And please just give me one moment. And they kind of excuse themselves and kind of back away, and they start like rummaging through their pouch and things like that. After a brief moment, they come back with a freshly emboldened tome. You can see the wooden panels of it have been wrapped and embossed. The leather that binds it it's as good as any craftsman from any city anywhere else in the entire world. And particularly Kettle, I think in this moment you would see before you the true skills that this person has. That their entire life is about perfecting what it means to store and preserve the knowledge of the world. As they open this book, its pages still somewhat stiff and crisp, and proceed to produce several different quills and like set them in between several sets of the pages of the binding, and they pull out this small vial of ink that has teeny tiny little pins upon the edges of it, and they set it into the pins. They set into the edges of the wooden slat on the back so that they have the ink sitting perfectly waiting at the edge of the book for the writing that they know that they're going to commence with. And they just kind of nod at you with this smile and gleeful anticipation upon their face.
Someone, do you mind if I shadow you while you do this?
Of course, I would cherish to be able to share in this with you.
Oh, perfect, thank you. And like he fumbles to get out like his own paper and quill, and then he shoots a look at Karnak for some reason, and he's just like, "Stop it!" And then just he's like, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not here. Please."
What are the rest of you doing in this moment, Sai and Karnak?
Well, I think Sai is feeling kind of antsy now, because there are more things on this to-do list of insane shit. So I think they're listening to all the conversation, trying to make sure that they're getting, all of the details, but I think half of their mind is just on tapping their toes and getting out of here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna show you a drift ball move that I did last game. How about you come over here and I'm gonna teach you a thing or two while they're sleeping the fragment of the Ascendi. Here, just come over here. Let me show you.
Yep. Sai goes over fully in the mindset of a parent who is taking their kid into the hallway so as not to mess up something that's happening. Show me what you got.
Right. So
everyone needs to distract the toddler.
He's coming up on this bloke right now.
Karnak just rambles through. He mainly is doing it because he did have insight earlier as to her unrest.
Yeah.
But he's doing his best to listen in at the same time, try and teach her something, though he doesn't have high hopes she'll actually replicate it, but it's something to do while others are more engrossed in pressing matters.
So as Maeve leads everyone to the Sentinel tree, what does she do?
She has Kettle and Karnak lay out the flowers. And she kind of directs them so that there's a pattern to the way that they're laid out. And then she has Sai perform some of the rituals of a night warden.
As Sai, I'll just interject here for a second. As Sai does that, their sense of, let's get this over with, we got stuff to do, kind of urgency that has kind of taken over them, goes away. Because in this moment, as Sai, doesn't necessarily want to be spending a lot of time taking care of this because of the urgency of everything else, as soon as Sai begins the necessary rites that are responsible for ferrying a soul off to Nocturnus, believing that this is just a symbolic thing in this particular case, they open themselves up fully and are aware in this moment that this fragment that Maeve has been carrying around is the lingering. It is the sense of a soul that waits, that stays here in the world. This is, what she had just encountered with the Fallen that didn't have this strong connection to know that it still exists, that it can still exist, even in this form, from an ascendant of all beings.
That's a relief. Yeah, they'll just continue to go through the process, sort of deferring to Maeve each step of the way.
Is there any reaction from Sai at this discovery that the Ascendant can have a lingering?
I think initially it's the relief that this exists, still. It's not like a, switch has been flipped or something. but I think it feels like it humanizes the Ascendant a bit in a very fascinating way, because this is a job that's performed for people, mortals, and this is an entirely different being in existence that it's just different. It's entirely different. So I think that in terms of reaction, I think that it would be a bit of wonder that this is something that's so grand and yet apparently so small at the same time.
And then Maeve proceeds to do what?
Assuming that a couple of the other druids are there as well as Songwind, Maeve will lead.
You would have definitely gotten some attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maeve will lead some of the circle rituals that are usually led on the regular ceremonies. And then she will hold the staff and gently kind of touch it to the ground right in front of the tree. And she will say, "Your name is not known, but you are remembered. And where you have been watching, may you find rest. May this small piece of you find home here."
And as you finish, you get the feeling, this sensation of uncertainty from the entity within your stave. And as that pause kind of lingers, you for a moment wish that this wasn't happening now, that you could hold on to this power, that the strength of this fragment of the Ascendant has given you. But then it slowly starts to dissipate out of the staff. And you feel this sense of loss in that wake of it. The emotions, the emotional connection departing from you like a twig breaking. So quick. And there's a sorrow that builds up within you. Maybe it's from all of the events of the day kind of overwhelming your emotions and testing the limits of your self-control. Just when you think you might break from it, just when you think you might show and express some of that sorrow that is building up so heavily within you, you see movement in the sentinel tree. You see a black filament of energy writhing underneath the edges of some of the bark. And it moves up into the edges of the tree and then goes motionless. And it stays there. It doesn't fade. It doesn't diminish. But it stops.
Maeve reaches out and places her hand on the sentinel tree, much like she placed her hand on one of the other trees earlier.
Go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
10.
10. You can, of course, backtrack on this if you don't think it's appropriate, but I think Maeve starts crying.
Yep.
I think Maeve, in this moment, no longer filled with sorrow, filled with a sense of relief in some ways, but also a sense that that chapter has closed, but there's a future that perhaps further generations of druids of this circle might benefit from what has just transpired. The rest of you are plainly able to see this outpouring of emotion on Maeve.
Should we give her a minute?
Yeah.
Right.
I think Sai is definitely wanting to give Maeve a moment. This has been a hell of a few months, I guess. And so I think the first instinct is like, okay, I need to give some space, but I'm watching for the moment when space is not the right thing. Yeah, so they're just sort of paying close attention.
Kettle's definitely kind of like this is not for him to insert, so he's sticking close to
Songwind?
And sticking close to Songwind and just shadowing her and seeing how they're doing their notes.
I'll bet he is.
They have been documenting thoroughly all of this.
Yeah.
But in this moment of emotion, you see them pointedly stop writing, place the pen down, and close the book. What does Maeve do?
Maeve stays there for a couple of long moments, just letting the emotion wash over her. She doesn't allow herself moments like this often. And so she savors it in a way, the opportunity to let go of some of the things that she's been carrying and to recognize that the fragment was not hers to hold any longer, and that she has fulfilled the obligation that she promised so long ago. And after a couple of moments, she'll sort of gather herself up and turn toward the group.
You're probably tired of people asking you this, but you're good.
I am.
It's enough for me.
I think we've got another mask to find.
Yeah, we do.
Yo, put it out there. Let's do it.
So, yeah, go ahead, Ian.
No, please.
Okay. If you will allow me the narrative opportunity here, you all finish this serious endeavor, and there's lots of pauses and semi-awkward discussions and wiping away of tears and the like. Songbird or Songwind, of course, thanks Maeve profusely for allowing them to participate and document in all of this. And they promise to ensure that everyone knows of what circumstance and from where the circumstance came that led to the blessing of the Sentinel Tree. And several of the other druids kind of gather up with all of you, and there's some light discussions about you're going off into the woodland and all of that sort of thing. Everything starts to get very heavy before a lot of you start making your way south. And it is now evening, and you know that it would be very bad for you to enter the woodland and try to take respite within it. But after a long day and an equally long evening, you feel that you must take a rest, and so you pause your journey at the edges of the Black Timber Woodland. And as the foreboding trees stand before you, your vision, however magically enhanced your dark vision might be, cannot penetrate the thick, ominous trees in front of you. You summon forth your camper's respite and try to go to sleep at the edges of this dark and awful place, knowing that on the morrow you have to journey through and try to prevent this mask bearer and whatever hunger they might have for seeping their chaos into the world on the morrow. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we are going to end tonight's session. It was a doozy. I hope you all enjoyed all of that as much as I did. I must thank all of my amazing, wonderful players at my virtual table this day for just an absolutely wonderful session of role-playing goodness. We're going to let them go around the table and introduce themselves and tell us all about all of the other awesome things that they've got coming up. Please make sure you all tune in next week for the finale of this arc, where we get to see how it all ends. And we are going to reverse order our introductions here. We're going to start with my boy, my oos, Ian. Please, bro, tell everybody how about all of the awesome stuff that you've got going on these fine interwebs.
Oh gosh, no, this is a lot of fun. Always happy to be at the table, always happy to be telling the story here in Ysterra, and I'm having a lot of fun with Kettle, if you haven't noticed. But hey, I'm Ian. Or you can find me on any social media platform at your boy Big, which is YABOIBIG. And of course, I play Kettle Portsmouth, the Dwarven Wizard here. And yeah, if you want to know what I'm doing next, definitely follow my Twitter. Of course, I will be here for the finale, as well as any other iteration of Ysterra that is available, because I love it. And so that's the biggest thing. Of course, Sundays you can find me over at Magic RPG playing in the Icewind Dale campaign, coming up to the penultimate episode for this season. And then if you don't like seeing my face but enjoy hearing my voice, you can go on any podcasting platform. You can go over to the Fang Gang where we play a Vampire the Masquerade game, or you can go to Merchant Code and you can hear me pretend to be a Digimon person. Sorry. The entire story today has went like this with me, and being with the other arcs and seeing how it, like, I remember when we got the Ascendant in the staff, and now we've released them. So my body, my mind, my emotions are doing this. So
that was a few months ago.
Stop talking. Yeah. So that's me.
Nice. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate it. Beth. Sorry, Beth. Reverse order.
Hey.
Beth is next. The Beth
Yes.
Masco.
Hi. Hello, I am the Beth. You can find me on social media at Beth Masco, and here on Wednesdays forever. And tomorrow I will be playing with the Bleak Season on Superior Adventurers Guild for a Dragonbane one-shot. This is part of their Games for Love series of streams. So come check it out. It's going to be fun. We've got a really great cast, the same folks who played together for a Lord of the Rings short shot, which was a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. And then this Friday, we're starting up with La Nocturna again, doing some more, going back to some old faves. And yeah, I'm really stoked. I've got a week full of gaming, and that makes me very happy. But this was a lot of fun. Excited, I guess, for next week, but also this is the whole like end of the world thing. So we'll just see how it goes.
It'll be fine. What could be wrong with going into a dark, cursed forest?
Nothing
Nothing at all. Aaron, bro, why don't you talk a little bit about what you've got going on?
Yes, I'm Aaron, playing Karnak in this wonderful adventure. Sad to see it end next week, but glad that I had an opportunity to play with these lovely people and a wonderful dungeon master. If you'd like to... Oh, sorry, the okayest dungeon master.
Yeah, okay. Come on. Let's get our expectations set right, okay?
If you've set the bar high, viewers, lower it.
A lot.
Yeah. If you'd like to know what I'm up to, you can find me on my Instagram at Omega Print Paint. I occasionally will post miniature painting, or if I'm doing some 3D printing, I'll post some of my works there. It's been a little sporadic recently with the holidays, but I will try and post some more stuff eventually. And then if I ever have the opportunity to rejoin playing in Ysterra, that's one of the models that I painted for my brother, and if you watch Ysterra enough, you may see his avatar show up as one of the Ascendants.
Ooh.
No, this thing's freaking amazing, guys. He's an amazing painter. You should tune into his stuff. He rocks it.
Dial that down a bit, but okay. Anyway, so I'm excited for next week. I can't wait to see what Karnak shenanigans Karnak can get into and help out his new friends. I think at this point they've proven themselves enough to where he would consider them friends, especially Kettle, which he loves interacting with on a daily basis.
There's definite love there. We can all feel.
Yeah.
We can all feel it. Speaking of love, Deb, please, all the love for you for tonight. There was some amazing RP. Why don't you tell everyone about all of the other awesome RP that you're going to be doing elsewhere too?
Sure. Hi, it's me. I'm Deb. I've been playing Maeve. Oh my god, the Bone Orchard was a harebrained idea I came up with in a session 0 many months ago, and so getting to see it come to life was so much fun. I loved it so much. Thank you for making this come true. I am here on Wednesdays, again, like Beth, forever. I am
Contractually
also...
obligated.
Yes. I'm also going to be in the Lanat Eterna arc, but I will not be there this Friday. I have a trip coming up, so the gang is on their way to come rescue my character from the Blood Domain. If you didn't see the first part, check it out. It's awesome. I can't wait to come back after this week and jump into that character again.
And that's on, just so everybody is aware,
yes.
that's not on this channel. That's on a different Twitch channel, La Nota Eterna. It's Italian, so it's Lanotte Eterna. You can check out all the awesome stuff over there. Kev is the guy that runs that show, and it's great.
Yes, thanks. Other than that, I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky at DSweats, not on Twitter.
Because you're not a guy from Texas.
Will find a guy from Texas. That's not me. And then I lurk in the Wanderer's Haven Discord all the time. So yeah, come be my friend.
Particularly in the Pet Pics channel.
Yes. Yep. See more of the asshole that shows up on screen.
Oh, come on. He's at least he's a lovable asshole.
It's true. He is.
And we've seen it once.
Gotta get some of that jewelry.
Speaking of lovable assholes, hi everyone. I am Miko, otherwise known as the OKSGM. You can find me on pretty much all the socials at _OKS_GM, or just take out the underscores in places that don't allow underscores because they're weird. If you want to learn anything at all about the world of Ysterra, you can always join our Discord. I am happy to chat about stuff like that, but I also have a website that you can check out, Ysterra.theoksgm.com, where you'll find most of the stuff that I have gotten out there for people to read and use. It's been great. Just a couple of quick shout outs this evening before we get off to raiding. We're going to raid into oh crap, who are we raiding into tonight? The channel that I was raiding apparently just dropped off. I'll find somebody else out in a minute. Find me a channel to raid. A couple of quick shout outs tonight. Tabletop Audio has we've been using their audio for the background music for this show and pretty much all the shows that I do. Tabletopaudio.com, amazing group of people over there. They've got all kinds of free stuff if you want to bring awesome audio content to your games, virtual or otherwise. You can check out all their free stuff at tabletopaudio.com. I also wanted to give a shout out to Tales on Tap. They're another Twitch channel on here. It's a group based out of the UK. Great group of people. They have a new campaign starting next week, a long form campaign that they're planning on doing for many months to come. It's called Erelon, A Destined Journey. Remember though, they're UK, so they're 6 p.m. GMT next Tuesday is when they're kicking off, but they also have a Tales on Tap YouTube channel. You can check out all their cool stuff that they've got in their backlog as well. And yeah, Beth, who should I raid? Adventurers Pack? They're on. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, we can raid Adventurers Pack. Let me just check that out. Thank you again so much to everyone that joined us tonight. We had subs, we had raids, we had a hype train, a lot of love in the chat. All you guys are awesome. We very much appreciate it. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Catch you later.